Hi there, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's lovely to have you join me. I'm thrilled to bits with how many people are interested in what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep going as long as you feel like you want to join me. That'll be fabulous. So today I'm going to just start my second block for my Just Because quilt. I'm doing a Christmas quilt. If you haven't seen my previous video, you might like to check that out to see how I started. I pretty much finished it the last video that I shared. Let me just try and wibble you around a bit. So I've decided this is going to be block 1. It's on the top left side. I'm doing 3 blocks across and 4 blocks down, which will fit as a top cover for a single bed that can be just thrown on over the top for Christmas and jazz the room up a bit. The rest of the house is jazzed up, so the bedrooms might as well be as well. So what I'm doing here is leaving a little bit of extra to turn over as I can. This one will need to be turned over eventually, but I've started on these couple up the top here, and I'll keep working along it, but really can't be done till I'm ready to do it. This side here will probably need another row of stitching, but I'm happy to leave it for the minute. The top one has, this one has had 2, but the rest haven't, so I'll keep working on that. The bottom will be where that next block joins it to there. I have joined the second block. I've had a bit of a think about it since I did it, because it will become quite bulky to handle. But anyway, I've done the first one, and it might be that I just do 3 across. I don't really know. But anyway, we'll just see what happens. The way that I joined it here was with some feather stitch, not fern stitch, feather stitch maybe. Oh, I just have to look it up. I always forget. I'm hopeless at it. But anyway, I've joined those 2 backing pieces. I've overcast the internal layers here, and if you'd like to join Corinne on her video channel, you'll see that she's doing something quite similar. Good. All right. So I started to play with this. I'm going away on Sunday. Today's Friday afternoon. I've had grandchildren for the last few days and done some bits and pieces with my mum, and it's now close to tea time on Friday, but everything's ready. I would like to take this away with me so that at night, when I'm sitting in a motel room watching telly with my friend, I've got a little bit of hand stitching to do. So if I can get it to the point of being able to do that, I'll be thrilled, and I'll have something to share with you. So the other thing that I was watching Corinne's video this morning on her To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne, and she's put her second panel together as well. And one of the things that I took away from that you might like to think about as well is the blend of smaller prints, checks and stripes, some more detailed fabrics, and then a feature piece. I don't think that I did that in my first block. I'm okay with what I've done. I've done blocks that worked together. I've got some embellishments, some here with my little holly leaves, another little picture piece here, and a little bit of additional extra coloured stitching apart from the kantha stitching. But today's video gave me a different perspective, and I've been thinking about it and during the day, and I have had a little play now prior to switching on the camera, because I figured you didn't need to see all of that thought process. And I found a few bits and pieces. I have this fabric that I purchased not long ago that has lots and lots and lots of baubles on it. Different ones, but you know, the pattern's repeated across it. And I only bought like 25 centimetres of it. But I thought if I can fussy cut those out and spread them around across the quilt in all sorts of, you know, on all of the squares, that will lend that continuity. Then while I was doing some other things, I, you know, still had it in my brain, and I thought, oh, it's a quilt that might actually need a wash at some point, and I need to resolve that. So just hand stitching it over cast stitch, I don't know that that'll protect it well enough. I'm not that fussed on Visifix, which is that sticky back stuff that you can, you know, and then iron it on and then stitch around it and it'll help protect it. But I might have to resort to that. I do have another very fine interfacing that still irons on, and then, but it doesn't stick to the, you know, like to the quilt. It only sticks to this, and then you stitch it around it, and that might help to protect it. I'm thinking about that might be where I go, but anyway, we're going to work through that. But yeah, I just thought these little baubles, you know, placed strategically around. I don't know where I'm going to put them, but that's in my head. So then I thought, excuse me, that I might bring some more prints in, which was sort of those fabrics that Corinne used that had a bit more print on it than just the plainer backgrounds. And so I might have gone overboard. I had this nice little piece that I've repeated down here with a little Santa. I've got a flower and a bird and bells and Santa. I've got it all now. So I don't know. I'm just working through it and don't really know where it's going to end up. But this is like the top middle square. So if it's a bit fancier, I thought maybe what I can do is have sort of plainer squares next to more fancier squares or fuller squares or more embellished or more whatever. And then, you know, plain, sort of do that around the quilt to sort of help break your eye up a bit. But anyway, this is where my head's going right at this second. So yeah, so if you want to stick around with me while I faff around with that, I'll love to have your company. Cool. All right, so this was a piece of a very old print that I've had for a very long time, so please don't ask me about it. And this one is a couple of years old, this one with the Santa on it. But I don't have enough information on the edges of the fabric to give you, oh, I might have on the Santa, but definitely not on this one. This one was, gosh, I don't know. It's probably in the vintage range. I was a bit, I didn't throw much out with my fabrics. So, yeah, I still had it, but this one just had a little bit of, sorry, all I'm doing is cutting this edging off to the side that you can't see into my little scrap bowl. But I quite like, you know, it's definitely still in my colorway that I'm happy with. This was with the same piece of fabric, not the same, but it was with them. So it's an older one. This one was a Lynette Anderson design of her Christmas fabrics. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to give that a quick iron because it was all crumpled up. And this one I think is, I don't want all of that red. So this is where, sorry, can't see a thing I'm doing. This one here is just going to probably be some red, some green. My friend just gifted me this. She said she wasn't going to use it, and she knew that I was doing my Christmas blocks and so I thought I might use this one. The print is gold. If it's not really showing up on the camera, I'm not sure. The trees are gold on green. Oh, I don't know where you are. Can you see me? Oh, yeah, good. All right, and then I thought that one can go over the top. A bit of doily that I've now cut into 4 corners. It's got a little bit of a print here that, you know, maybe looks a bit Christmassy, so I thought it looked probably all right. And I thought what I would do is by cutting them in 4, I can repeat them in other blocks. So, you know, out of 12, you know, 4 of them may have that on, and it may have other things on there as well, I don't know. So I'm just having a play, really, and I thought I'll turn the camera on while I have a play, because then that'll give me the chance to, number one, get another video to you while I'm away, and also get cracking on it. Give me a chance to take something away that I can stitch at night while I'm sitting, you know, watching a bit of telly after I've stitched all day. I don't know, but I find that I prefer to have something to do in my hands than nothing. So that may still very well happen. Not sure. The thing that I like to do is just make sure that I don't have, you know, corners, you know, where it all lines up, you know, in a long line. I'm not fussed on that. So I prefer to make sure that things are overlapping. You know, this may be where a bauble goes. I'm not sure. I need to just keep fiddling around with it for a bit. So I think with that, I might stop you here, and I'll be back very shortly. I've had a big play, and God, why does that happen every time I go to talk? All right, so a couple of things that I want to just talk about is this is where, sorry, can you see? Yeah. So this is where my first block finished, down this line here, and these fabrics folded over. So I needed to make sure that I either folded them over the next layer or under the next layer. I've cut out a couple of those baubles from that fabric, so I've put a couple here. I had, you know, a scrap that I thought I'm not going to chuck any of those out. You know, they're like the end pieces, but like this one, no, you can't see that. Boy, oh boy, it's going to get harder and harder to video this. It, you know, I tucked it under. It's only that. So I thought if I tuck it under those and make sure that they do tuck under, because that's the thing that I've been really mindful of all along. I think I need to pull you up. Sorry, hold on to your seats. All right, I think I might stand up and talk about it. So here, you know, making sure we overlap all the way across. So I've got a little bit of a gap here that I thought I'll just fill in with that. I can't decide. Maybe I'll take it up to that bit of green there. The doily I've gone under here but over here. A few more baubles around the place. Quite like the look of them. Made sure that I went up here because, again, this is my top, so it will fold over. Those edges will fold over there so that they will be caught in underneath there. I think this one's supposed to come up and over. A couple more baubles. This green check I decided to, while I've got it here, this bit of gingham, I've actually added it over here, then it's promptly pulled itself out. This is where I've stopped because the block below will join there. And I just thought, for continuity, I'm going to put that there for now. I mean, it's way too big. I'm not going to add all of that. But I want to remind myself to put it there. So, gosh, really is going to get trickier and trickier. Trickier and trickier. So, yeah, so there's a bit there as well. But that's just purely as a reminder. I thought I'm not going to pin them down just yet. The Santa goes way off because he's got a big Christmas tree hanging off the bottom of him, and I thought that actually might look okay. So I'm going to leave that whole piece as it is, as a reminder to sort of think about it. Maybe doing it in single squares. What was that supposed to do? Go over that one. These were like the little edging bits off this fabric here. So I've got a piece there, you know, and those colour swatches that go on pieces, and I've put another little piece there. They'll be the only two. Oh, no, I've got more of that fabric, so I might find a few more, so they may make another appearance. All right, I'm going to pin it and then do that whopping big stitching, because that was just like a fantastic situation. That was definitely something I followed from Corinne. When I'm done with that, I'll come back, because then the next bit will be the kantha stitching. I'm going to leave these off for now. I've got a memory of that. So, because I need to resolve how I'm going to attach them, whether it's going to be Vlisafix or whether it's going to be, I probably could trim a bit more off that one, or whether it's going to be that very fine interfacing, which will probably work the same way. It's just about protecting the edges. That's my biggest challenge, because, like I said, it's a quilt that's going to go on a bed that possibly down the track may need a wash. And so I don't even know where you are anymore. I can't see anything from when I sit down. So yeah, you'll see me back with this. That's going to go over there. Want that little bit. I need to resolve that a little bit more, because I would like to see that bit of stitching. That's one of the things that I don't like are when I get a line like that. So I need to work through that a bit more. That one might need to come over there. That one will be all right if it joins that, because there's enough overlay here for those, and that can probably be a standalone. So it may get attached at some point. So is that. They don't all have to go on right now. Okay, good. All right, well, when I've done the big tacking threads, I'll come back and show you what it looks like. This one might be a slightly smaller, smaller video than some of my others, but I probably want to get it up to you at that point while I'm away, because then while I'm away I'll do the kantha stitching. Cool, alrighty. Oh, that doesn't need to be like that, so I need to just tidy those bits up. It's just because I've been playing with it with you. Making sure, a couple of things, making sure I leave enough to join the next square on at the bottom, enough to join the next square off on the side, making sure I'm going to have enough to overlap here so that that will continue to go over there like a binding, if you like. Good-o. Alrighty, I'll be back. Okay, here I am. That stitch that I did on the back is fly stitch. I don't know why I can never remember what that stitch is, but that's the one that I used, you know, to join my panels, fly stitch. I just wish I could remember it, but I can't. So, a couple of things. Have you noticed there's no heater on? Oh, how gorgeous. Bare arms. It's actually raining outside. It's dark now. It's after tea. We've had tea. We've done all of that. And, you know, I'm back now to just add a little bit more so that I can be finished. Cool. So I made a bit of a decision while I was pinning down all of my squares and getting everything how I think I want it, except that I just saw that little bit there flying around. I think I'm done. Up the top, left that edging. Over here, left that. So what I've done is pinned in a line here so that I remember when I do the tacking stitch, stop, pinned along the bottom. No, not quite yet. Getting there. Pinned along here in line with, where is it? Here, this is from the first stitch where the kantha stitch just finished, which is in line with where my wadding, my whatever my internal bit is, so that I've got room to, number one, attach the next square, goes back about that far, and these fabrics go over. I've left that bit of green there because I just want to remind myself. So yeah, so I've done a row of pins along here. I've actually got my needle and thread ready to go to do those lovely big stitches to hold it all down, and then it's going in my bag to take away for stitching while I'm away. Cool. But the last little bit that I want to show you before I do that bit, and you know, I've done that in the previous video. You don't need to see me joining again. You know what's going to happen. It's those nice big, I don't know what you call them, can't remember, stitch. I'll think about it in a second. To hold it all down so I can get rid of the pins, so then I can kantha stitch it, so that's good. All right, I've decided that I'm going to use this very fine violin, as you can see, like you can almost see through it, but it's sticky on one side, and that I can iron these because I already pre-cut these out. You know, that can be a little bit of a hoo-ha with your iron. So what I'm going to do is I've pinned them, you know, the wrong side to the sticky side, cut them out so that when I come to iron them, I'm not going to get this sticky stuff all over my iron. And then I'm hoping that that will help to seal the fabric to stop it from fraying once I hand stitch it down. Any little tiny little bits that you have sticking out, you know, get rid of them. You know, use your little scissors to make sure that fiddly, because I've already pre-cut them out. If you have a square piece of fabric, you can iron it to them and iron it on and then cut them out individually, but you know, it probably doesn't need to happen. I'm going to iron this and show you what happens. I've pinned it. I've got the iron turned on right beside me. Nothing stuck to the ironing board or the iron, even though there's a little squishy bit there that I can just trim off because I don't actually need it. And I can get rid of the pin. So then it's ready to go when I want it. I'm just going to take it in my pouch. I've got a nice little zipper pouch. I'll put it in there. My thought about this one, I was going to put it in one spot. I've changed my mind. Next to this little one here, I think it's going to go in there because I'm going to sort of, I've got this pale area here. It's a bit plain. I'm going to just tuck it in there and just overcast stitch it because it doesn't need to be part of the kantha stitching. I'll cut another couple of these out so you can see where I'm going with it, because I think, oh, now I've got tangled up in the thread that I cut. Oh, goodness gracious. Teach me to try and do 10 things at once. This will be the final bit of this video. I don't know what I'll get done for the rest of the week. I've got my own little one coming up, which I'll publish prior to this one. But just when this one will happen, I don't know. I was hoping to get another one done, but I don't know where the week has gone this week. It's just done a disappearing act. I'm probably not going to get it done. Get rid of those bits of iron-on Vilene because you do not want it hiding because it's so transparent, and then you hit it with the iron and it's stuck. And I just find that the Vilene is quite stiff to stitch through. It's all right if you're machine stitching it, but hand stitching it, it's hard on your hands. And I don't think that. And I actually think that this is quite all right. Have I washed it? No. To be honest, I don't know. I don't anticipate, I've got quilts on all my beds and they go on the top. They don't, you don't have it. Even the one that I have on my knee in the lounge room, they don't need to be washed all the time unless you've got kids here with ice cream and chocolate topping. And oh my God, I don't know how they get chocolate topping on everything. They get chocolate topping on everything. Anyway, let's not go there. All right. So really what I'm trying to tell you from far away here is that I think it'll be all right. If I was to wash a quilt, and I have washed quilts, my own quilts, the ones that you hang on the wall and they get dusty, those ones? Have as a wall hanging, and I have washed them on my very, oh my goodness, we're going to have a big thunderstorm. Can you hear that thunder? Wow. It's raining outside. That's all right. The washing got done this morning when it was sunny and in. So thank goodness for that. That's done. Yeah, that was a big thunder clap. I wasn't expecting that. All right. But it doesn't take away from the feel of fabric, that interfacing. I couldn't even tell you what it is. It's just, it's a Vilene interfacing. It's very fine. You can see through it. If you're looking for it, ask the lady in the shop to show you things. I want to go, it's like got a bit of a, not fluffy, but, it's like, yeah, it's definitely got a fibre feel, and then iron on without being too horrible. So my thought is about attaching these here. Where's the other ones? Yeah, so that's my basic plan. Hopefully this video will continue and won't lose power. That would be terrible. You don't normally lose power. Saying that, we had that one massive storm and it was shocking. So now I've said, you know, we're quiet from no heating, and now we've got the rain thundering down outside. Goodness. All right, so there's this one. I've got, you know, the other couple, but I'm not going to sew them down until I've actually finished the kantha stitching, because they'll be what we would say, you know, in the previous blocks, is this is part of the embellishment. All I'm doing is getting it prepped, so I've got a bit of a thought about what I want it to look like, how, yeah. And the fact that I'm actually going to use these baubles now throughout the quilt to tie it all together. They won't just appear in one spot. The same with the holly leaves that I put on the very first block. My intention is to use those in other places, so again it looks like they're meant to be. I don't know, was I cutting that off screen? They're meant to be, they're not sitting out there on their own doing nothing. One-off things I think are okay, they have a place, but in something like this that's block after block, a bit like matching the fabrics, you know, I want to use similar fabrics. While it's not always going to be the same, there will be times when, I'm just getting rid of that little bit of red stuff there that I just thought was a bit, stood out a bit too far. But yeah, I mean, you can, I know I ironed it with the pin in it, but those tiny little pins don't leave too much of a mark, and you can sort of spread out anywhere where the fabric's created a little bit of a hole, but they're pretty good. They don't create an ugly hole, and you can always, you know, give it one more press with the iron. And there, I actually think that that's going to look quite nice, and scattered around my quilt, those things are going to appear every now and then. All right, I hope that you're all doing really well. I hope you have a lovely week getting started. I'm going to hand stitch this. Wish I could remember what the name of that stitch is. Bad enough that I've tried to remember fly stitch, but I can't remember this other one that goes across, which goes across clear as mud. It's in my video and it's in Corinne's. So if you'd like to have a look, and then you can find out what the real name of it is. I feel a bit silly not remembering. My brain has gone completely and utterly blank. Cannot pull that word out of my head at all. All right, enough of that silliness. I'm going to pack up my stitching. Oh, those little birdies. See these? Instead of doing circles, she put these little, I don't know, little birdies. How cute. As a colour sampler. And they're going to go in there. I just need to remember not to go beyond that, because that's where my next block will join. I'll let you know how I go stitching 2 blocks that are joined, because that really is my next consideration as to whether I do that again or whether I stitch the block separately and then come back and join it to the other one. And that's definitely in the consideration pile. Well, I've stitched queen size quilts, hand stitched queen size quilts on my knee. It's heavy work, you know. They weigh a lot. Getting your hands in and out, doing the stitching. After I joined this one, I had a big think about it and wondered whether I should have. I thought, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have left it. But, I already done it, so I'm not pulling it out. I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I think this is going to be something that we talk about as we go along. See what happens. All right. I hope that you have a lovely week. I'm not sure what day you'll see this. I'm trying to space them out to give you a bit of a chance to not miss me too much while I'm in Ballarat. I might take a few photos, not sure how much videoing I'll do, but I'm sure that Corinne will, and share her exciting week. All right. I hope you're all well. I'm thinking about all of you people that might be in Helena, I think, is in the States, that have been hit by those terrible storms, and hope that you're all well. My thoughts and definitely my prayers are with you. I know how bad it was, and we had nothing like what you had, but it's horrible to be so devastated. But I really hope that you're all safe and well, and we'll catch you again in another video. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now. Back for 2 seconds because I've remembered the stitch. It's called Herringbone. Oh, my brain was like totally blank before and I could not pull that name. So this is that big tacking stitch that Corinne showed us, and I love it. So, from this point over to this side, and what I'm really concentrating on is making sure that I do catch fabrics together. I've chosen a big long needle and it's a bit sharp. And then so it goes from the right to the left, back out and down here. What I'm aiming to do is stay within this, where these pins are, to remind me that I've got to stop for the kantha stitching there, because that's where my blocks join up. And by using this stitch, I can eliminate the pins and then hang on to it in my hand far more successfully, while I fold it up and do all those things. All right, I'm sorry. And the other thing that I just played it back, because I always like to do a little bit of a double check before I put it, I load it up, is that I called the violin, I was talking about flies affix, or those heat and bond that are quite difficult to sew through, and called it violin. No, the violin is what I'm using. This interfacing, sorry, I'm picking up everything while I pick it up. This very fine interfacing. You can get this in all sorts of weights, from this really fine to really stiff. But yeah, I sort of was like going, the violin was hard to sew through. The violin isn't hard to sew through. It's the flies affix or the heat and bond, whichever you might want to call it. So my apologies for misleading you with that little bit of information. But anyway, I'm so glad I remember the name of the stitch. I'm terrible at it. I know exactly how to do the stitch. Can't remember always the name. Good. All right. Well, the thunder and the rain have stopped for the minute, so we may just get some sleep. I'm going to pack up my little bag now to take away on my retreat. Okay. Take care. Bye.